do dating apps work? Short answer, no. Zilch. No. Nada. Nothing. That's the longest way of saying no. Long answer is, it's complicated, but we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna put my university degree to use because I paid money for it. And this will be fun. So, let's get started. First off, I want to talk about our data set. I have been using Hinge for the last 8 months. So I got out of a relationship in November, promptly thereafter downloaded the app and used it for 8 months before collecting the data. So our data comes all from Hinge. They do provide you data. How many times can I say data in one video? Should I switch to data? Should I be inconsistent? A little bit of data here, a little bit of data there. You say data, I say data, data, data. That's it. So Hinge is our sample set. I analyzed it with my dad. Father-daughter bonding activity. But before we get into the data, the nitty-gritty numbers, let's talk about how we even measure success of a dating app, because there's a few different ways, there's a few different metrics we could go off of. So if we think about dating, it is really like a funnel. This is like the most basic sales thing too. If you're a sales bro, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we've got this funnel, and at the top of the funnel, it's everyone we're like interacting with, everyone we come in contact with, everyone we see on the app or in person or wherever you're dating. And then that gets narrowed down to people you actually match with. And that gets narrowed down to people you actually go on dates with, which get narrowed down to people you actually like hook up with or have a relationship, which would then narrow down to someone you ultimately like end up with, spend the rest of your life with. What a dream. Fairy tale romance. Nobody thinks of Cinderella as a funnel.
But it is.
Cindy Woohoo. So knowing we have this funnel, we can actually choose what metric we want to measure based off of it. So for example, we could measure our success by the top of the funnel. How many matches are we getting? We could measure it by the middle of the funnel. How many dates are we getting? Or we could measure it at the end of the funnel. How many relationships did we get out of this? Now personally, I am searching for the love of my life. So I'm gonna measure dating apps by the bottom metric of relationships or, even situationships. But let's look at all the stats going back up, since it was all funneling, trickling back down in there.
Trickling back down in here.
Now here's some video clips. The technical side. If you don't want to hear about the technical side, skip. There will be the numbers of like the minutes where you can skip to. If you do want the technical, listen around. Because I will say, I didn't find any videos of women analyzing their Hinge data. I think that's so helpful for other women and men, truly. I think this video is going to be very helpful. But genuinely, I think this video is great. I saw some graphs on Reddit of men analyzing like their dating apps. I don't really care about that. I wanted to see a woman do it. Here we go. We're going to get into it. And I've got a lot of things to say. Because at the end of the day, I have a million opinions. They're my opinions. They do not represent anyone else other than me and my wild thoughts. But maybe you agree to them, maybe you don't. I'm happy for some discourse in the comments. But at the end of the day, please, when you're writing comments, remember, I am a real human being. I am not some AI cyber thing just living in the internet. I live in a real world. I date. I didn't date to do a video on the statistics, but I realized that if I took a more analytical approach to dating, it could actually really help me on the more emotional side of it. So that's my goal here. And then also to have some fun along the way. Again, these people that I went out with and I saw, I'm not thinking of them solely as this like data set, numbers. Like, I realize these are real people. And I hope that when you're writing comments, you realize I'm a real person too. So be kind, but I'm happy for politeful discourse and disagreement. I love having my mind changed and opened and my worldviews slanted, slattered, slotted. I swear English is my mother language, but sometimes I don't feel like that. Okay, so you want to hear the technical side of analyzing your data? Here's how you do it. First, you go on the app and you request your data. It took about a day, maybe 2, and then when I logged back into the app, I could see that there was this little section where I could download my data. I downloaded it on my phone and then emailed it to myself. They were mostly in JSON files, JSON, and my dad is a programmer, so I used him to my best ability. And we did a little father-daughter bonding activity where he helped me analyze this. So we used this, it's a free program, I think it is. There are free programs. We used Python, Panda. I'll put it up here, floating above my head. this is what we use. And I mean, he made it look very simple. They also do have like a web page that you can see all of your conversations, but from that, it's really hard to get these numbers that I'm going to pull. And you can also use Excel as well. There are lots of Excel tutorials on how to read JSON files and then analyze it from there. I'm not gonna be that tutorial, I'll be honest. But I did have an idea. So if this video blows up and you guys want a little program where you can just plug in, like add in your data set and get all the numbers that I'm reading. I asked my dad about it and he said it'd be super easy to program and that if this video hit 10,000 views, we would make that program. If you want that, you would just download your data and then bada bing, bada boom, you get all these numbers. So you'd see how many people did you match with, how many people did you go out with, how many people did you like first versus all this stuff. But my dad, min fatter, is not gonna do that unless this video performs well. You know, it's like incentivizing. Here is a movie monologue of us analyzing it.
Bam bam. Linus. What are we doing?
Hinge data.
Hinge data? Is that with an E?
Yeah, Hinge. Nice.
24 megabytes.
It probably looks like a lot of Hinge data because I have 3,807 people who liked me in the last 8 months. And I want to see of all 3,807 whatever people that liked me, how many did I like back? So how many did we match? How many did I just remove? Like I never liked them back, you know? And how many did I actually chat with? Like those are the things, what I want. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And in the JSON files, it has all that information. So I should be able to sort in the JSON files, that stuff. No module named pandas. Do we have to import the pandas module into JSON?
Probably.
Or into this notepad?
Probably. See, and there's like lots of different ones you can read. And we're just gonna say read a JSON file here.
Is it named after a guy named Jason?
Yes.
I probably matched with him.
No.
No. Of all the people I met, how many of them did I meet? How many of those that I met did I like, right?
Right.
Out of the 3,800, I proactively liked 223.
All yours?
Yeah, I want to remove all the people I liked first, so I'm just looking at the people that liked me first and saying how selective was I of those people.
So we're saying that TF, and then the first one entrance in here is null. So that has to be null, and that.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So according to the data, I had interactions with 3,807 people. But let's, separate it all. So again, we got this funnel. And of these 3,807 people, I proactively liked 223 of those people, whereas 3,584 proactively liked me. And I want to separate those two because I do think that there's going to be a big distinction later down in the funnel. Because I have this hypothesis that the people I am proactive and like first make it further down the funnel. Okay, well, just hold your horses. Looking at the 223 people I proactively liked, 94 of them liked me back. So we got, boom, a match with 42%. So I'm calling my match rate with people I like first 42%. Now let's look at my match rate for people who liked me first. So there's 3,584 people that liked me first, of which I liked back 542, which is like a 15% success rate. If I was to put this in layman's terms and kind of in a blunt, rude way, I could say that men liking me on Hinge have a 15% chance that I will like them back. Where when I like someone on Hinge, I have a 42% chance that they will like me back. But let's look into these outliers a little bit. Because I don't want incels coming up here in my comments and saying, women are the worst, we need sex market value cards. Or have people come up and say, how did you ever have that many people like you. Ugh, disgusting. So let's look at some more numbers, okay? Everything is resolved by numbers. What do we have? What's the population on this earth today? What is the population of the world?
Population of world is 7,846,000,000.
Right. So let's say, I don't know what the breakdown is man, woman, but let's say I'm dealing with half of that. I got over 3 billion people. And you know, then half of those, like we narrow down, we keep narrowing it down. You know, there's plenty of fish in the sea, but they're all tuna, whatever it is. We just keep narrowing it down. I don't think it's wild to say that I was getting this many likes because it's like the top of my funnel. And I also want to say that women tend to be more selective up front at this funnel. So women are more selective higher up. I mean, I hate to generalize a whole gender, but let's just say women tend to be more selective up front, where men really just like cast a wider net. Over the course of 8 months, that averaged to be about like 14 new likes a day. And keep in mind that I do travel a lot. So whenever I'm in a new city, I move my location as well. So it's not that like I was consistently getting 14 people in this small hodunk town I live in. No, it's that I was all over the place too. And anytime you go into a new city, I feel like it kind of puts you up front. So it's not wild to say that I could average 14 likes a day for me. So anyway, yeah, 15%. So let's continue down in the funnel. So we've got our matches. Now let's look at the 600-ish people that I have matched with and see how much do we cut down from there. So Hinge actually has a feature that it'll ask you, did you go out with this person? Yes or no. If you click yes, then it asks you a follow-up of, did you like this person? Had I known going into this that I was going to eventually collect my data, I would have been really strict about filling that all out because it would be cool to know. So at this point, we are going to make a few like smart guesses here. I would say that on average, I went on 2 first dates a week over the last 8 months. Don't ask me how I managed. Also, I am worried about doing this video that people are going to make a lot of wild assumptions about me. And I guess that's just the price I have to pay. So, a little scary. Numbers only tell one side of the story. Don't make a lot of assumptions. I would say that I went on average of 2 dates a week over that course of 8 months, which would be about like 64 first dates. And according to the Hinge data, it said yes, I met up with like around that same number. So this is what I really wish Hinge would allow me to see. I guess manually I could do this. I didn't. But of those ones that I said, yes, I would like to go out with them again, if we could backtrack and see, did I like them first or did they like me? But the point is that over 8 months, I went on around 60 first dates, and some had a few second dates here and there, but ultimately nothing really happened. I did get myself in one situationship that I actually flew out to Switzerland for. Different story for a different time. I really liked that person, but it didn't work out, so we're back to square one. Okay, so let's think this through. So I've got this hypothesis, and it's that if I had talked to 223 people in real life, had approached these people that I found cute or endearing in real life and talked to them, I'd have a higher success rate than all the time I spent on dating apps. I say 223 because that's the number of people I proactively liked on Hinge, and that really roughly turns out to be about 1 person a day over the course of 8 months. So my goal moving forward is taking a step away from dating apps. I think they're effective if the metric you want to measure are matches or dates, or if you're big into hookup culture. I'm not. There's always exceptions to the rules. But for me, I've always felt that in the first 15 minutes of meeting someone, I can kind of tell if there's something there and if I want to keep seeing them, keep hanging out. Okay, so you might be thinking, Alina, how did you go on 60 odd first dates and not get anything out of that, any relationship, any metric of success? And to that I say, I mean, there's so many variables at play, so we could address and say, maybe I'm just a horrible, hideous, annoying person to be around and they all hated me. I don't think that's the case, but we could entertain the idea. I think what's happening with dating apps is the old analysis paralysis. So when you get too many options, you end up not making a choice. I remember learning about this study they did with jam. and they got this jam booth, and when they had 3 flavors of jam, the end purchasing amount was higher than when there was a jam booth with like 40 jars and different flavors, because people could go to the jams and they go, do I want strawberry, blueberry, blackberry? That's easy, I choose blackberry. Fools, I would have gone with lingonberry. When there was a thing of 40 flavors, they're like, oh, I don't know, do I want jalapeno strawberry? Do I want apricot banana? Do I want sour tart cherry, mother on fire of my babies? And the same thing happens with dating apps. The fact that over the course of 8 months, I saw 3,000 faces pop up on my screen and nothing really came from that, I think it comes down to analysis paralysis on both ends, right? Because if you truly believe there's always something better out there for you, you're gonna be looking around. And there were definitely people in that group that I would have dated, but they didn't for me, and that's no fault to them. I just think the app themselves breeds for that. And when you think about it, if we trace the money back, apps make money by having users. So while Hinge says it's the app to be deleted, ultimately they make their money by having people stay on it and spend time and time and time on this app. Like, I mean, that's how they survive. So they use this to our disadvantage, really. And it's unfortunate because I think that there's definitely a lot of wonderful people on apps, myself was included. And another aspect is people still feel shame about meeting their significant other from an app. How many times have you asked someone, oh, how did you guys meet? And they just kind of like get shy. Oh, Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, Grindr. You know what I mean? Which is ridiculous because technology assists us in so many other aspects, but people want that classic meet cute. I mean, my parents met in a laundromat and my dad left his sock and my mom, reverse Cinderella style, grabbed the sock and went around asking people if they knew where the German man lived, and that's how they met, and it's a cute story. And I think deep down, all of us romantics kind of want something like that. Maybe we're a little embarrassed about using technology to aid us in our quest for love. Personally, I'm not embarrassed by that. I just haven't found it to be effective. At the end of the day, I don't care where I meet the man that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with. I have a hard time believing at this point that I'm gonna meet him swiping away at an app, because I might miss him. And let me rephrase this. I don't think there's like one person out there for everyone, like it's a one-to-one. I'm just saying that for me, I've got this hypothesis, okay? Hear me out. So I proactively on Hinge over the course of 8 months liked 223 people, 94 of which was a match. I think that in the course of the next 8 months, if I in person approached 223 people, I would be much, much more effective than spending any sort of time on the apps. Now, my rejection rate, I actually think will be much higher too. So right now I got a 42% match rate. And I think that in real life, I don't know if this person's also single, what they're looking for. I don't know already if they're attracted to me because we haven't had that exchange of photos. So I think my rejection rate will be higher, but I think ultimately the ones that I do click with, that I approach of that bunch, will lead somewhere further because we've already experienced this nice in-person connection and there's inherently a little bit of chemistry that comes from there. So my goal is for the next 8 months to talk to 223 strangers, which turns out to be about one person a day. It's kind of exhausting. I don't really know at this point how I'm going to do it because I do feel a little more introverted. I can talk to a camera all day long. I can perform in front of a crowd of 1,000 people, but going face to face to someone, a little terrifying. So we'll see how this plays out. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm a new baby channel, so it means the world to me. And you can find me on TikTok at Lena Cuisine, on Instagram at Lena Hells, and Lena's Rugs. So many options. Also, if you're wondering the outfit details, this is Fashion Brand Company and it is the nipple sweater. Just to clear it up, because I knew there's gonna be some comments saying,
Your sweater looks like nipples.
Anyway, I'm gonna be back with some more rug content, more Read It and Beep, journal entry podcasts, all of that fun stuff. So, thanks for talking to me.